This is John Ward, welcoming you to another presentation of Tennessee football on home video. The story you're about to see unfold is one of adventure and achievement. It's the story of teamwork, commitment, and the will to win.
Doesn't need a lot of... Oh! He took a weapon!
All right, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Got a couple things to talk about today. Number one, Tennessee's running game within our offense has to be better. We're going to break down a few clips that I put together for y'all with us versus OU, just so that I can highlight some things that we need to clean up, have to make some changes over these next couple of weeks because we have the time. Obviously, playoffs are probably out of the picture, but we still want to win out. We still want to finish strong. That's going to be a huge part of it, man. Like, this offense is not going to be able to do very much if we can't run the ball the way that, we should be able to run the football. So it's going to help out with the overall passing game. Obviously, versus OU, dropping back to pass like 50 times or, close to 50 times is crazy. And it's also going to help keep the defense off the field. I just think that you have to be able to do all of those things. It's something that is going to be, I'm sure, a very strong point of emphasis on in the offseason and getting that right, but definitely huge. So we will show you that. We'll break down some of the film. We did like a full film breakdown for all of our members. Shout out to the members on Patreon and all of our members here. All right. Also want to talk about Legend Bey. Got some updates for you there. And I want to talk about Tennessee's strength coach, our strength staff, some possible changes that we need to make there. And I think we might have a few other things for y'all as well. But as always, please do us a favor. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out in a very, very major way. Make sure that you are subscribed too. I know that there's a lot of folks that are watching that aren't subbed, but really just like the watching and the liking, really, really big for us. All right, so first and foremost, man, let's talk about Legend Bey. So with Legend Bey, and for some reason this isn't showing up everything, but that's perfectly fine. He is a 4-star wide receiver. You can't see this here, but he is a 4-star wide receiver that's part of our 2026 class. He's more of like a slot guy, but because he is such a good athlete, he can play outside too. He could be a really good gadget piece for us. And he just visited the Buckeyes last weekend. Feels like he's trending there. So I saw that that Steve Wiltfong, who is an insider with On3 and Rivals, he went to the General's quarters, which is VolQuest. That's, the On3 Tennessee fan site. That's their kind of like forum. But he went in there and he told everybody that Legend Bey is getting close to making his final choice. And it sounds like Ohio State is trending at this point. So I'm not quite sure what he's going to do, right? Like I said, he's 4-star with On3 and Rivals. With 24/7 and with ESPN, he is a 3-star. Probably the fastest guy that Tennessee has in this class so far. True track guy. Would be huge to hold on to him in this class. I mean, there's no question about that. And if you look at Tennessee versus the Buckeyes, just from, I guess, like a depth standpoint, they've got some good players signed in their class for 2026. They've got some good guys that are up on campus currently. Tennessee's pretty much in the same situation. I don't think that this is a thing where you say, well, he can maybe get more playing time, if he goes and plays with those Buckeyes. I don't think that it's one of those situations. But that really is right now, it's wide receiver U. So I'm not necessarily going to be mad at him if he chooses to go there, but also think that he needs to look at the big picture of things. Because I don't know how well he really fits into their system versus Tennessee's system. We know that the slot wide receiver in our system, it's always been a big part of it, even with the changes. And I think that, that's also positive that we've made changes where it's like a full route tree. So for going on to the next level, you're going to have better opportunities. As far as getting open, you're going to have really good opportunities here. We've got, I think, 3 wide receivers over 600 yards so far this year. We haven't really had the depth. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that he will get his chances. Also, special teams. I think that everything's wide open for him here. But it sounds like we're going to have some staff members that go out and visit him at some point this week. Not sure what the final date is on when he's going to be choosing his program. But, probably by this weekend, maybe. I'm just kind of guessing there. But yeah, I mean, that one's big. It would hurt to lose him. I don't think it's necessarily going to like kill the class. It's going to mess with the rankings, obviously, but Tennessee, we will have the proper depth. You know what I'm saying? But he's a guy that we for sure want to hold on to. All right, so that's the first part of it. Let me go ahead and get to this chat real quick. I know that a lot of folks are out there working, but if y'all can catch us, we're going to try to get to the chat. If y'all are watching this, after we get done streaming, of course, you can leave your thoughts down in the comments section. And my brother, always joining us. Appreciate you. Go Vols. All right, so let me move forward and let's start talking about Tennessee's strength staff. So I want to say that Kurt Schmidt is the guy's name that's over our strength for, I think, every sport, right? And I think, honestly speaking, that doing a pretty good job. Like if you're looking at all sports, I think that we look good. I think that we are picking up weight. I think that our players look relatively strong, relatively fast. Some of that's going to just be like natural stuff, right? Is what you're born with. And I also know, and actually I'm gonna jump in here real quick. I know that there are so many people that look at our strength team and they're like, man, like for the football team, they're just not getting it done. Like looking at injuries, which I don't even think the injuries that we've had, I don't know how much of that's on our strength team. I think it's just, look, football's a game of injuries. People are going to get hurt. Mod, he got injured working outside of the building. Ricky Gibson, got a chest tear, trying to make a play. And he had gained, 20 pounds coming into this year. But there's so many players, and we talk about it over the offseason, like, well, this player, they've gained all this weight, gained all this muscle, guys are getting faster, so on and so forth. Some of those metrics is not going to be public, but I've seen and heard about it. I think that we're doing a good job from that standpoint. Is it as good as it could be? No. Could there be some changes to make it better? Yes. But I don't think that Tennessee's really had too much of a problem necessarily getting pushed around, especially this season. I haven't seen a whole lot of that. I haven't seen a whole lot of it. It's going to happen sometimes, but not really where it's bad. It's like, man, we shouldn't even be on the same field as these guys. I haven't seen too much of that. But now, with the missed tackles, I think some of that is on strength and speed and some of that for sure. But also think about all the young people that we've had out there playing. Those guys just might not be fully ready yet. It takes some time to be strong enough to play on this level. SEC, college football, is a lot of grown men out there. It's a whole lot of guys that are going to be starting as rookies in the NFL next season. You know what I mean? So you have to keep that in mind as well. But I will say, with some of the discipline stuff, with some of the not even to a really high level, but some with just being a dog, with having that fight, with having that edge, I think that we could do better there, right? We have to find a way to do better there. Like I said, I believe that Coach Schmidt is over everything. I'm not quite sure who's specified for the football team, and I'm never calling for people's jobs. I don't want to see people get fired, so understand that. But if over the offseason we think that a change needs to be made, this is the short list. These are the guys. So I'm going to jump back out of here so that y'all can see number one. Okay, this is Tommy Moffitt. Right now he's at Texas A&M. He was at Tennessee from 94 to 97 as the strength coach. And we know how physical those teams were back in the 90s with our Vols. He basically built the roster, built the team from a physical standpoint that will go on to win the national championship in 1998. All right. And I know that in that championship game in 97, there was a thought of, wow, we don't look as strong as them Cornhuskers. You know what I'm saying? But that was, we talked about this yesterday too, when creatine had first came out. I don't know that Tennessee was using creatine just yet, but that does make a little bit of a difference. Not that big of a difference. Them boys was taking steroids. Let's just keep it real. Them boys was taking steroids, but either way, obviously, he was a strength coach with a really good team there. Goes on to the U from 98 to 99, tough physical team that plays with an edge. LSU for 21 seasons, right? We all know, championships, always physical ball clubs. And then he's been with A&M since 2024. And I think that this season they look very physical. So he does a good job from that standpoint. I have him up at number one because he's done it for such a long time. Obviously, having been at Tennessee might be sort of an easier pull for us. I don't know. As any of these guys, 1 through 3, we're going to have to open up the daggum bank for them, baby. They're going to have to get paid a lot, I think, for them to come, be our new like strength coach if we want to make that move. I'm gonna keep on saying that. So next, Mickey. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name, but right now he is with the Buckeyes. We know how physical they look. It was a pretty big difference from Tennessee versus them last season in that playoff game from like a physical standpoint. But he was also with Urban Meyer down in Florida. And that's one of the teams that I think of all the time. Like whenever I'm thinking of how I want my football team to look, to act, you know what I'm saying? Like that edginess, that chippiness. It was a 30 for 30, I think, called the Swamp or something. I don't know if it was in that one. But they were talking about the mat drills that they did back with Urban Meyer. How they were working, almost to like the brink of death, which sounds crazy. But football, you got to be crazy. You got to be thrown off to come play a game where you're not trying to miss the contact. You're going to seek that contact, and you have to love it, right? Now, I think that he's done a better job since he left from Florida and got with the Buckeyes, because I want to say that he followed Urban Meyer to the Buckeyes. That's where that's when he started off there. But obviously down in Florida, some of the off-the-field issues that those players were having were serious off-the-field issues. So you don't want to take it quite that far, but it's got to be like real close. You got to be teetering on that line of you might need to go hire some extra folks to watch the guys off the field. That's the sort of edginess and chippiness that a football team needs to be as physically dominant as people want to see, right? So obviously he would cost a ton of money. They're not just going to let him go. Cost a whole bunch of money to go and get him. And then I would say that really, all things maybe equal, Scott Cochran might be the best to ever do it, honestly, y'all. I mean, look at his resume. Alabama with all them championships there. UGA with their championships here recently. I mean, his teams have just looked different. Like they've played different. He's a head coach right now, okay, on a lower classification of football. I don't know that he would make a backwards move from like a status standpoint to come back and be our strength coach. It would cost a bunch of money for that. But obviously, that I'm all about, if we are going to make an upgrade, make a real upgrade. Don't just go and get somebody that's going to be maybe about the same. Go get somebody that has proven it, tried and true. And, let's go win some daggum championships. But again, I'm not here calling for anybody's job. I'm just saying if we feel like that's what we want to do, then this would be my short list. If we can't get these guys, we might as well stay put and hope that we can implement some changes so that we can get better there. Again, I don't even think that necessarily from like a physical standpoint, Tennessee's in a terrible spot. I think that we're probably about 95% of the way there, but that extra 5% is that's getting over the hump, baby. That's a totally different ball game. And yes, the discipline has to be better. The edginess has to be more. Now, as far as some younger guys that might come at a little bit of a discount that I think are starting off pretty well, I think that Chuck Losey at Penn State might be a guy that you maybe kick the tires on. I think that their teams have been pretty physical. And then you also have Derek Owings, obviously with what they've done for the past couple of seasons, especially this year, bro. I mean, they kind of look like a juggernaut. I don't think that they really are. They're not really playing nobody. But at the same time, that amount of separation that they've taken since he's been there, you gotta pay attention to it. All right. So let me tap into the chat. All right. I want to catch up on this chat. Where are we at? Okay, so we got several that just came in. So from my dog Tay. All right, he's saying that he hopes that we don't lose to the Buckeyes. He's saying he hopes that we don't lose him to the Buckeyes, talking about Legend Bey. Yeah, we most definitely want to have and hold on and keep weapons like him. Might take some more NIL money. We'll see if the staff can go out there and, just talk them into sticking around. But that would be huge. I will say that I don't have any inside information outside of what Steve Wilfong said, but I would say that it probably isn't. It doesn't feel very positive that we are going to hold on to him. All right, so Jonathan is saying that from what he's heard, the Buckeyes view him as a running back. Wow, okay. I don't know if he wants to go play running back, but he is a guy that, we're talking about Florida, talking about Urban Meyer. I'm thinking about almost like a bigger Percy Harvin. You know what I mean? I think that he's got some of that to him where you can line him up in the backfield and run the football. And as a quick little side note, since we are talking about them, I spoke with the members about this last night that what I think will really piss people off is when they see how Florida's offense, and I don't want to say this too loud, so let's not spread this around, but Florida's offense right now, since Napier left, it's like all of the very basic, simple stuff from Napier's offense plus some very old school, outdated elements from that Urban Meyer offense. And their interim head coach, he was part of that staff. And I was curious, would he try to implement some of that stuff? Teams know how to stop that now. I think that this is a matchup that I'll always, every year, I talk about Napier's offense and how tough it is to stop what they do. Y'all, this is going to be a good matchup for our defense, just from a scheme standpoint. Obviously, they have dudes. They have a mobile quarterback, so you have to watch out for those types of things. But I really wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee runs the tables and looks really good doing it. Wouldn't be shocked to see that happening, and that's going to really piss you off. Whenever you think about, hey, man, we should have beat OU for sure. And I think we also should have beat Georgia. Okay, so this one from Dog. Okay, so Dog, now I can see your true color. So you're a Texas Longhorn fan. All right, so he's asking, do I think that Tennessee needs to get a portal, maybe a portal win or start one of their two young guys? Oh, okay. Are you talking about like a portal wide receiver? I'm not quite sure what you mean there. If you mean portal wide receiver, nah, man. Like Tennessee's got. We're going to have two guys coming back that are starters right now. We have two guys. So obviously I'm talking about Mike Matthews. I'm talking about Braylon Staley. They'll be back next year. And then we also have Ra and Travis Smith. They'll be back next year. And then we've got several studs coming up. So Tristan Keys, one of, if not the best wide receiver in the 2026 class. We've got Tyreek King, in-state guy, Knoxville kid, who I think is really good. I feel like there's somebody else. Oh, Moa. You know what I'm saying? Moa, stud. I mean, we've got plenty, even if Legend Bey doesn't stick around, I think plenty of options for Tennessee. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but, oh, okay. So could have saved myself a whole bunch of time. How would have just read that next one? So you're talking about quarterback. Yeah, Tennessee will probably have to go to the portal to get another quarterback. Not a starter, though, I don't think. I think that we'll try to go get a guy that's going to be fine with being like a veteran that can come in and like be that backup, be the bridge. Just in case maybe a true freshman like Faison Brandon isn't ready. But, there is still a chance that Merklinger sticks around too. All right, so from my dog, J Pat, what's going on, bro? Saying go Big Orange, FUGA. Love that energy, bro. Hey, look, I hope that y'all having a great Tuesday, everybody. So this one from Steven Johnson, he's saying that he's noticed the difference in strength all year on the defensive side. That is a very interesting point, because I've talked about it too. I think that for the defense, and I'm gonna actually pull this down and then we'll come right back. But I do think that for our defensive tackles have kind of gotten pushed around. And I don't like the way that they lost some weight. I don't think those guys need to be losing weight. Like, bro, cut the fat, and then if you lose 5 pounds of fat, you need to be adding 5 to 7 pounds worth of muscle. There's just no reason for you to be trying to get smaller. You know what I mean? Not playing defensive tackle. Speed ain't gonna help you out that much. Like, those guys are already twitchy, but you should be able to get bigger and more twitchy. So I didn't like that. I think that our linebackers could maybe be better, for sure, from a strength standpoint as well. And like we talked about with our secondary, bunch of missed tackles from really everybody. So you could be onto something there. I don't think that you're wrong by any means. I think that is a good point. So, Dog, he's asking, do I think that Heupel needs to give up play calling because he can't do everything at once? I don't think so. But I am on the same page that he's doing too much. But for me, it's like, bro, delegate some of the other things, not play calling, because I think he is a good play caller. But delegate some of the other things, like maybe not being as hands-on with those players, like with the high school players and stuff. Because, see, like some of that you can delegate to some other people. Like, and I don't even know how much he's actually doing necessarily, but I have heard that he spends a lot of time with those players. That type of stuff, he doesn't need to do as much. He needs to be able to take a back seat. And I talked about Coach Nez. That's a spot that maybe he could step up in for you. People are like, man, we'll just fire him. I don't know. You might be able to actually let him do more of that, or somebody else. Doesn't really matter. But that type of stuff, I don't think he doesn't need to be wasting up too much time on big game days when if we got like 100 players coming up. You ain't going to be able to go speak to all of the big time players. You know what I mean? And guys just have to understand that. But outside of that, no, I really like him as a play caller personally. I want him to call the plays more. I think that when things start to look a little bit stupid, and stupid's not the right word, but when things start to look a little bit off, I think that it might be more of Coach Halsley. That's just me. All right, but yeah, I would also like for him to find somebody that just dedicates time to like clock management stuff, to like analytics type stuff. Hire somebody just for that, so that you don't even have to think about it. You know, if he is going to be the head coach and the like primary play caller, just focus on primary play calling and just like CEOing everything else. That's just how I see it. All right, from our bro right here, John Ward. Yeah, man. So I had to bring it back. You know what I'm saying? I had to bring that back just because of everything that's going on with the fan base. And I don't think that everybody really wants Coach Heupel fired. I think that it's a small, very loud group of folks that are saying that. I don't know if they really even want it, but yeah, I just wanted to bring back some of those more positive memories. Andre Turntown, worst player of the Heupel era? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not even going to say who I think it actually is, but I don't think he's the worst player of the Heupel era at all. Like, we've come a very, very long way. Thank you for that, Steven. All right, so JPad, he's saying that Legend's got speed. Yeah, he's I want to say 10 100-meter guy. That's almost like going and running for your country type speed. It ain't quite there because they run like 9.7s and stuff. But that's like he could run track at Tennessee. You know, like that's how fast he is. All right, so Matt's going on, bro. Saying good thing that I have 3 weeks to prepare myself for the Florida game. Yeah, I really think that we're going to be okay in that one. But we felt that way before, and Florida's just found a way to turn it into more of a ball game and, than what it should have been. And Tennessee has to find ways to win. And we're about to move forward, y'all, in just a second. But Matt, he's saying that Legend sounds like he's playing the money game, not good. Tennessee usually doesn't play that game. I disagree. I totally disagree. David Sanders, you know what I'm saying? Like that was a money game between us and the Buckeyes. That's one that we won. Tristan Keys, money game. A whole lot of these big players that we either got out of high school and then that we had to hold on to, Tennessee outbid. Tennessee spends money. Tennessee plays the money game very well. Now, I would say that we could maybe manage who we're paying a little bit better and make people earn things a little bit more. But Tennessee got some deep pockets, baby. Like, you don't even got to worry about it. Tennessee got some deep pockets. If we want to go spend, we can go spend. All right, so let me also show y'all this real quick. This is just Tennessee's offensive line from 2024. That's at the bottom in gray. Everything that's in gray there, right? And then Tennessee's offensive line up to this point in 2025. It's through 9 games for both of the offensive lines. It's only players with 100 or more snaps. And we have a few metrics here. And this is just about pass pro stuff. So I wanted to show y'all, number one, the first thing that stood out to me is if you look at the snaps, okay, a lot more pass blocking snaps for our guys this year. We've dropped back to pass the football more this year than we did last season. I think everyone knows that. But what's the impact that it's making on an offensive line that I actually think is more talented? So y'all can see the sacks. We've given up less sacks so far this year, again, versus 9 games last season. So we have one guy that's given up 2, that's David Sanders, versus last year we had 3 guys at this point that had given up 2 sacks on the offensive line. Now, everything is ordered based off of what's to the far, far right. That just kind of like ties everything to the left of it into one, plus even more metrics. And it just basically says, hey, who's doing the best job? And now I disagree. This is all coming from Pro Football Focus. I disagree with a lot of what they say and all of that. But I just wanted for y'all to see how things look if everything's relatively equal from one like organization's point of view. So as far as pressures, we're seeing that the pressures, actually just like look at the pressure rate, because of course the pressures have gone up because those guys have seen more stats, but even the rate has also gone up, but the sacks have gone down. I just think that teams are able to pin their ears back more and to dial up different blitz packages and all of that messes with Tennessee's blocking schemes. But if we know who to pick up, then we do get them picked up. I think better than what we did last season, if that makes sense. Just totally different scheme, so on and so forth. All right, so wanted to show y'all all of those things before we actually jump into the film, and that's what we're about to do right now. Let me make sure that we are staying on top of the chat. So Dog saying that we play them next year in Neyland. Yeah, I think that it will be a big one. What we'll see is Arch coming back, obviously wearing that 16, just like his uncle Peyton, who played at Tennessee. I think that if it wasn't for Peyton having played at Tennessee, that Arch would have came to Tennessee. I think that's the only reason that he didn't come here, honestly, because I think that, and then he goes to another UT, not the real UT, but he goes to another UT. He goes to the burnt orange, not the real orange. And also wearing 16. I really think that he probably would have came here. But that's a game that I would anticipate he's going to play very well in. So yeah, defense has to take some steps forward and strength and all that. And looking at the schedule, it's going to be a lot tougher for Tennessee over the next couple of seasons. So we could get by with what we had for the past couple of years, but it does have to take a step forward because it's just going to get that much more difficult for us. So yeah, strength and all that type of stuff needs to step up. We're also going to be adding more scholarships. Right now we're at 85, the whole SEC is. But in the offseason, we're going to kick up to 105. So we've got the money ready for it. If we got to spend a little bit more on like a Legend Bey, we can do that. If we got to, go out to the portal, do whatever we have to do from that standpoint. Tennessee can do it, and I think that we have deep enough pockets that if we had to make a coaching change on any level, that Tennessee can do that as well. All right, so let me go on ahead and pull this up real quick, man. We're about to jump into this film. Just a few clips here. I want to say it might be maybe 5 or 6 of them that we're going to break down. All right, so Grayson, he's saying that he heard about us from Ruck at Straight Up Tennessee. Thank you so much for that, Grayson. And listen, if anybody hasn't gone to check out Straight Up Tennessee with Ruck, who joins us on Wednesday nights. Not sure if we'll be doing that this week or not, but yeah, he has an excellent show. I think that they all do a really, really good job. Great information, fun to watch, easy to watch, but definitely go and check them out. So shouts out to my dog, Ruck. And then we're going to get to this last one right here, then we're going to jump into it from Matt SS. Saying he guesses the Tennessee picks who they'll fight for, Seaton, Hyder. Yeah, that is true, but that was also, so Hyder's one that I don't even know how much of that might have came down to money. But I'm going to tell you, bro, I don't think that you want to be spending that much on a running back, especially when you got David Gabriel Georges in the upcoming class, who is just as good probably as Savion Hyder. And I'm not a huge guy on spending too much money on a running back ever. I just don't think that it's just not worth it. To me, I haven't seen unless it's like Bo Jackson or something rolled out there. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. But yeah, so I think that was one of those situations. And then with Seaton, I think that Tennessee probably was the highest bidder in that situation from what I've heard. I just think he wanted to go play with Coach Prime. That's, sometimes that happens too. So it's not always just about money. I know that people think that, but that's not always true. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this, y'all. First play, 1st and 10, y'all can see the scoreboard copy. We're going to have the sideline copy, and we'll also have the end zone copy. First and foremost, I think that this is 11 personnel, so only one tight end. The box right now looks like it's about, 6 inside of the box, but you also have, this is what Oklahoma did to us last season too, where you got the overhanging players are going to come down late, or one of the safeties comes down late, sometimes both. And that messes with Tennessee's numbers. So you could say, hey, this was a lighter box. I think that that Oklahoma's coach came out and said, yeah, we played with a light box for most of the game. Not really, liar. That's not really what you did, because you might have started off with the light box, but really you got a lot of folks coming down late. And it messes with the numbers within our blocking scheme. So either way, the field is spread out pretty wide up here, but this is kind of like normal splits, kind of. So either way, this is going to be outside zone play. All right, and we're going to see it again from the end zone copy. And I'll tell you what the main problem is with Tennessee's running game. And it's been this way pretty much since last season. It's the backside defensive end, or whatever, this backside edge player. That has been our problem. We don't do a good job of blocking them or slowing them down. Now this is going to be a read option. So Joey Aguilar, no one's really scared of his legs. So what you're going to notice is number 44, really good player. He's going to bite on this run hard. Joey should have kept this. But also, let me tell y'all this. Another part of the problem is that Tennessee is so used to the veer and shoot super wide splits, being able to run versus some kind of like pre-made like rushing lane or running lanes. We have to figure out how to really scheme things up. There's a lot of things within just our scheme that doesn't look good, but I don't think Tennessee got pushed around. So let me show you what I'm talking about on this, right? So we got a tight end here, right? This is something else. Let me talk about this. So again, read option, right? So handing off here. What you want to do off of the read option is show this action, should hold him up, but that's not going to work. So we could have also used our tight end here as, come over here and just pick up this block backside. All right. So this guy will make the play, but also watch this. Okay. Also watch this, because if you look at all of our guys, look at the offensive line, look at this front 5, watch what they do. You can have David Sanders get up to this level, go get this guy. Obviously, Sam Pendleton right here playing the center has to hold up here, let Jesse Perry kind of get to the front of this. Then he can work up to the second level. Then we got Boom right here, hat on the hat, okay? And if we had this backside, this play goes a long way. But just recognize, we're picking up all these blocks very well. Now, Sam Pendleton also doesn't do the best job sometimes getting up to the second level. On this one, he ducks his head and he lets this linebacker swim move him. He has to be better from that standpoint. But it's the backside defensive end that makes this play. And also notice that the safety came down to the box late, okay? So, he's just like an extra hat. But down the field, good blocking, all right? So that's just like the first part of it, okay? This is the 1st and 10, but that's the first part of it. We have to get the backside figured out. Now, on this play, super wide split, okay, you got the overhanging player here that's actually playing pretty deep. You're going to have some people that come down to the box late, but right now there's 6 inside the box, okay? It's going to turn out to be 7 or 8 or something like that. All right, so this looks like this is inside zone. Oh, I'm sorry, no, this is actually outside zone going to the other side, going to the right. So we're running outside zone to the boundary side, to the short side, more times than not. So on this play, what's going to happen? Okay, so couple things happen here. Number one, this is 12 personnel. I hate the way that we block this. So we have a tight end here. We have a tight end there. Recognize what happens backside. If you have a tight end here, then the backside's probably taken care of. Now, with the outside zone, working to the outside right, you've got this tight end right here, Ethan Davis. This is not his fault. It's what he's coached to do, I'm pretty sure. But he's just going to flow back to the inside instead of what would have made more sense to me. Hey, insert up the field somewhere to the outside or inside of a gap. So because he comes back over here, we now have 1, 2, now 3 blocking one person. We don't need to dedicate that many folks to any one single solitary person. That ain't Reggie White over there. That ain't Aaron Donald or nothing like that. We don't need to do that. So we just waste up pretty much 2 people here, okay? But for the people who are blocking, notice backside's picked up. But for the people who are engaged, everything looks good outside of David Sanders. Now, David Sanders right now, he's working to get a seal block, so he's trying to get outside of this end. So if he is going to get outside of this, he can't give any more ground because it's going to mess with this running back being able to get to the outside. So he can either do it the way that he's doing and be stronger at the point of contact, or he can just get to the inside of this, and it's a much easier block because it makes just like a natural crease. On top of, if we have a tight end actually inserting here, then everything's picked up. So that is what the problem was there. I'm gonna go back to the chalk and see it again, right? Picked up, lanes, creases, but just kind of, not closing, not sealing, and doing the way that we're supposed to do. And also notice this with Miles Kisserman backside. He's not even going to really block this guy. And also we're trying to hold things up off of this boot, which does a good job with this backside guy here. But this looks pretty good backside. It's just not good front side. We got to be able to tie it all into one. So he's just going to go straight up to the second level. And because we slowed it down off of the boot, he can get right in front of this guy. Okay, so if we would just use a little bit of common sense and help our guys out, we'll be better. So 1st and 10 here. And this looks like this is 11 personnel, so 1 tight end right there. It's not very wide splits. Normal splits is what I would call this. 7 inside the box, plus the safety that's watching it hard. All right, plus the safety that's watching it hard. Now, this is inside zone with the tight end insert, okay? Pay attention to what's going to happen here. All right, so I want to say, yeah, I believe this is the one where there's a stunt. This was something else that really hurt Tennessee in this game, and we talked about it all week long. This is a defensive front that runs a lot of stunts and blitzes. We have to know who to pick up, and we have to be able to pick it up. If we don't do that, then they can wreak havoc. But on the same, on the opposite side of that, they're going to have some big-time creases where we can run the football at them. So here, this guy, he's going to, boom, run right into the center. Sam Pendleton, he's going to knock him down. So that is some strength. We talked about it yesterday. He needs to get bigger and stronger because you can't fall down off of these stunts. And because, boom here, he falls down. Now this kid here, David Stone, stud, loops around. Wendell Moy can't peel off to pick that up. All right, so watch it roll. Boom. There it is. Okay, stunt. This guy's catching. David Stone's catching. He's going to work around. At this point, right, what we need is for Sam Pendleton to still be here so that we can pass that off, and then Wendell Moy can get right on over here. And it would be, instead of there being 2 people, waiting on our running back, waiting on Star Thomas, there's going to be a much bigger running lane because Wendell Moy is holding on to this, okay? And then we can maybe make this guy miss. We can pick and choose, boom, boom, going this way, got that picked up. But pay attention to everybody that has picked up their people, right? Everyone that is blocking. we're blocking, okay? Like, we're not getting pushed around at outside of this center here, okay? So we're not, I wouldn't call this getting whipped. I would just call this not doing a good job of blocking a pretty simple stunt in a situation. Also, obviously, the defense knows that we're running here. That's why the box is this loaded. Got to be a little bit less predictable with when we're running it and where we're running it to. All right, so like in a nutshell, y'all, that's what the problems have been. All right, so now I'm gonna start to show y'all some of these better runs. This is the 2nd and 15. Okay, it's gonna be outside zone. Right now they're showing what, a 5-man box. You could almost call this 6 because he's there, but 3 safeties deep. All right, someone's coming down. So the numbers in the box pre-snap is not what it's going to be post-snap. You're seeing everybody coming down. So last season, this killed us because we're so wide with our splits. Notice the splits aren't as wide. You're going to see these guys blocking down the field. We also didn't run a whole lot of outside zone. It was pretty much, hey, spread the field out real wide, run inside zone. Not going to work. But if you go to the outside, because they're playing on different levels, it's easier to pick these blocks up. So I'm going to go ahead and let this thing roll so that y'all can see it. All right, so boom, moving around, everything's picked up. Looks gorgeous, right? It's just all about having a better scheme to help our guys out. It's not so much that they're not capable of it, okay? So boom, tackles move over. This front now turns to an under, okay? Boom, picking it up. Pay attention backside. First and foremost, pay attention to this backside. Watch these 2 guys go to work here backside, okay? Boom, wall set up. Now we can go to work front side. Take care of the backside. We can go to work front side. All right. So now, what are we doing here? Going to freaking work. All right. Boom, boom. Great movement. Excellent movement. That's 4 or 5 yards down the field. Okay. Tight end here. Miles Kisserman picking up a block. Beautiful. Sam Pendleton center, pulling around, looking good doing that. Okay. Takes out 2 people there. Down the field. Blocking. Strength. Right? Pretty simple, guys. It's just about picking things up. All right. So this one, 1st and 10. And this is the last one. So box is 6 here. Again, 3 deep safety look. You know somebody's coming down late. Pretty much regular splits. So this is 12 personnel. We got 2 tights down at the bottom. Inside zone. Great movement. We're going to see it again from that end zone copy. Okay. We're going to see it again from this end zone copy. 2 tights right there. All right. As you can see, the box looks totally different once you get down here, right? It looks totally different. Like, whoa. Is that really only 6? Now it looks like there's even more, you know? But boom, 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 boom. Hat on the hat, okay? Pushing people out the way. There's the crease. Take it back just a little bit. Game of inches, small creases. Got to be able to get through it. Boom, creases there. This is a hole. This is winning football. This is winning blocking football. All right? Great job, too. Watch Wendell Moy at left guard here. Boom, slow it down. Let your guys catch up. Seal, be patient, hold. Here comes this guy. Go get him. Would actually love if we could have been a little bit more explosive through the hole. So to Matt's point, talking about running backs, this is where you can maybe take a little bit of a step forward at. If you have a guy that can boom, explode through this. You can do it with speed, you can do it with strength, whatever. But that could have been an even bigger game. All right, so hopefully people understand what we're talking about there. And let me bring this right on back. Hopefully people understand what we're talking about there when we say that most of the problems with Tennessee's running game, it hasn't been because our offensive line sucks. It's been because our scheme in blocking, that kind of sucks. That's not very good. Can we make the necessary tweaks and changes over these next couple of weeks? If we can, I think Tennessee has a really good chance to be able to win out. And even more so over the offseason, like we talked about just to start it off. If we spend a lot of time on just getting that cleaned up, on doing things that make logical sense, and also versus Oklahoma, we could have just ran straight at them the whole game. Instead of trying to get cute. We did too many things trying to get cute, putting tight ends in some weird spots on inserts and all that where they don't need to, or, on some like split zone stuff where the tight end starts off front side maybe and then goes to the backside. Well, you've already got the backside blocked, so why are you doing that? Just trying to throw off their linebackers and all that. Didn't really like I don't love the trying to get cute. Go play smash mouth football, especially versus a team that runs so many stunts, so many blitzes. They can't stun as much if you're running straight at them because they're going to be taking themselves out of the hole. We're getting downhill too quick for them. So it's just like little things like that. And that's why I'm not super down on Tennessee's strength staff. Someone did bring up a pretty good point that for our defense, maybe, you could have, maybe, but that could also be from so many veteran guys not being able to play for us, right? But either way, that's pretty much what my thoughts are. So let me tap back into the chat, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I see there's a lot of things that came in. All right, so this one right here from Matt SS. Okay, he's talking to Dog, and Dog is saying he thinks that our offense will be fine against y'all's defense. Man, look, I think that defense is going to be a problem, especially if y'all can hold on to Tyler Atkinson, who I think is a major problem. All right, yeah, man, Ruck is a good dude for sure. From Rose FPS saying it looked like Davis went the wrong way altogether. I'm not sure on what. Oh, okay. If you're talking about Ethan Davis, that is possible. Very, very possible. So it could be a bust on his part. But, excuse me, I've seen it just like after watching the whole film, like we said, we only went up through like the first half because I don't know how much people could stomach of it, but we could do more. But we did that for the members. There's more plays like that where the tight ends are just in some really, really stupid spots. So, Dog, he's saying that he's not out on Joey Aguilar, but he can't read the field at times. He's not he doesn't read the field very well. He really doesn't. And he can do better. He just can't lock in pre-snap. If he actually, I think, tries to do it, I think that he could figure it out. And Pendleton has basically had a cast on one of his feet the last few games. So I haven't even noticed that. But I know that he did have a sprained ankle. So that can slow you down. But some of the same issues with Sam Pendleton, I've seen it from the start of the year. You know, I have. And I mean, he is going to have to get better. But I don't think that he's horrible either. I think that it's a positive. It's like a plus. It's like a net positive for the offensive line versus last season. I sincerely think that. So this one's saying the Tennessee freshman tackle got Aguilar blown up multiple times. So I know of one play. I don't know about multiple times. I would love to know what multiple times that happened on. But there was one play where he didn't block the right person, where he's blocking down instead of, if there's somebody that's lined up like he was. He should have blocked that edge rusher. It's not like they tricked him or anything like that. But I mean, it's going to happen sometimes with these freshmen, you know. And whenever you're having so many different looks, I'm not saying that it makes it okay. I'm just explaining how and why that happens in games like this. Whenever you show so many different looks, like so many different blitzes, it's coming from everywhere, it can throw you off. But yeah, I mean, he knows that he has to be better than what he gave up there. And that was obviously very, very costly play. So from Chuck is laughing at something. I'm not quite sure what he's laughing about. And Matt is saying, or he's asking, did anybody see the defensive lineman for Oklahoma was obviously in the neutral zone on the critical Oklahoma scoop and score in the first? Yeah, you know what? I mean, that type of stuff is going to happen. You hate that the referees miss it. There was a lot of times Tennessee was in the neutral zone that they didn't call. That's just part of the game. I don't think that it had any impact on that play. Just Tennessee just has to be better. That's just the way that I look at it. Chuck, he's saying easier said than done. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. I know that I'm getting to some of this stuff late, so sorry about that. So SEC defensive tackles are way better than Big Ten defensive tackles, so that's why you see crazy numbers from their conference and not the SEC. Man, I don't know if I can agree with that, because I think that at the top of the Big Ten, their dudes are just as good as the SEC. But from top to bottom, yeah, for sure. But at the top, they got some guys. I mean, they got some guys. I ain't gonna hold you. They definitely got some guys. And really, I would say that the Big Ten is more of like a run-first league anyway. So I think that their guys might have to be, in some instances, better versus the run than in the SEC. Where, I mean, just in some instances, like I'm talking about more like versus the run. But if you're talking about from top to bottom, versus the pass and all that type of stuff, I'd say that we probably have more twitchy guys. But I don't know if I would say that if you're looking at their top few teams, I don't know that I would say that it's a huge difference from the SEC. All right, Dog. Yeah, man, I love Braylon Staley too. Hopefully we can hold on to all those guys. I think that Tennessee will. All right, so Cajun Vol, he's saying that he loves Joey and that he was a godsend, but they need to start giving Merck and Mac real playing time. They're our future and will transfer if not played. They're still growing, but yeah, I would say that G-Mac ain't going nowhere. Mark is probably gone either way. G-Mac's not leaving. Like, why would G-Mac leave knowing that next season he's the guy? More than likely. I don't see that happening. And I would like to see them play more. I would definitely like to see G-Mac play more because, like I said, I think Merck's leaving. But they're not just going to sacrifice our season and let them play a lot. Not at quarterback. I think that there's some other spots that you could definitely make the argument, well, these other guys play. They might actually be better than the guys that have been starting. So I would love to see that change happen. But yeah, I would say that we're going to hold on to one of those two guys, whether it's GMAC or whether it's Merck. And I would say that one of those two is probably leaving either way. Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had to just be flat out better. Yeah, man. And I will say this. Sorry to, I'm gonna come right back to your thought, but I will say this: the SEC is by far the worst referees. It's not even close. They're horrific. They're absolutely horrific. But also, just like having like played football and all of that, if you spend enough time around it, of course you're gonna look at the refs, but you just realize that, dog, you just gotta find ways to win. Period. And that's a game that, I mean, shoot, Oklahoma had way more penalties, way more penalty yards than Tennessee did. The refs really weren't the factor in us losing. And even if it was flipped, Tennessee still should have won that game by about 20 points. Like, we were that much better than Oklahoma. Y'all gonna see. Wait till the rest of the year plays out. They're gonna get probably smacked around versus everybody. Now, I hope that they beat Alabama and any of the good teams that they play, but I just don't see that happening. They're just not a very good football team. All right, so this one, so he's saying okay. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, like, 1,000%, like, most of the talent, and that's in all sports, comes from the South, most of it. There is some good talent that comes from up there, like in the Midwest, up north. In the Northeast, not a whole lot of talent for, like, football and other sports. We just have a different brand of athletes down here. There's no question. Look at the South, look at the West. That's where all the talent is. That's where all of it is, but especially in the South. Yeah, no, that's a stone cold fact for sure. Yeah, but that's going to do it, y'all. So thank you for joining us. I wanted to just, share it with everybody, as many people as we possibly could. If y'all could share it, that would be great as well, because I do want for people to see that our front on offense really, like, it's not like we got whipped. I know there's a lot of people saying we got whipped and we got bullied. I don't see that. For me, it's like if you're getting pushed around, maybe sometimes getting beat with speed, that's more of getting whipped and getting bullied. But it was just mostly, we just didn't. Our running scheme is not very good right now. We had to get that figured out. And I'm going to get to this last one right here from Dog. So Dog is asking, do I think the state of Tennessee will get better in terms of talent? I think that the more people move in, for sure, like the talent's going to keep on going up. I think that it has already gotten better. Tennessee's better from a talent standpoint than it was when I was in high school. Like, for sure. I still don't think that it's anywhere near where Georgia is. I don't think it's even close to sniffing that. But I do think that it has gotten better. I think that they've got some really good coaches. Like they've got some players that are well coached, but they're not going to see like the same sort of week in, week out talent as you will in most of the state of Georgia, but especially in the highest classification in the state of Georgia. Bro, like that's nothing to us. And if you're from Texas, then you might know how this is. Texas is a bigger state, so I don't think that on like a per capita basis it's as good as Georgia, but it is obviously very good. But like you see SEC players every single week, you see Power 4 players every single week. I don't know that throughout Tennessee high school football that they're seeing that quite as much, and that's why I do think that we need to continue to find players from the state of Georgia that might even be underrated. Like a 3-star in the state of Georgia might be a 4-star in a lot of other states, But yeah, I think that Tennessee's going to keep on getting better just as more people keep on moving in. So this one here, saying that he thinks that Heupel will continue to go out of state. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was just saying there. But you also have to lock down the best players in state too. And I'm happy that we're starting to tap into Florida. Once we can get down to South Florida, which I think it might be hard to get players to come all the way up to Tennessee from that area, because it's such a drastic change in like lifestyle and all of that. It's totally different. But if we could start to do more of that, because you want to talk about where the most dudes are at per capita, I don't care what the rankings say. If you go get some dudes from South Florida, they are cut from a totally different cloth. It's a bunch of dudes down there. But either way, y'all, thank y'all so much. And we will be probably back tomorrow with some more thoughts. I don't know if we'll go live again. But yeah, thank y'all so much. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And we will be talking to y'all on the next one.